epicconversions.com. And I want to welcome you to this live stream that I'm doing here. Uh, I've been doing these pretty much daily, for the last week or so, and I've been having a good time doing them. So I'm going to keep on doing them as long as I'm having a good time and as long as I can, provide some value for you. Um, Now, if you're watching this and you're thinking, why should I listen to you? I would tell you you shouldn't. You shouldn't listen to me. You should do your own research. Anything that I say, you should go out there and confirm it for yourself. If you're interested in more about me, luckily I have the benefit of being on the internet for a while, so you can go out there and do a Google search for Cam Jennings or Cam Fats, KAMFATZ, and I have quite a bit of a footprint there, just because I've done a lot of, done a lot of marketing over the years, and I've done a lot of affiliate marketing and all that good stuff. So, got a YouTube channel, and you could be watching this on my Substack or on my YouTube or on my Facebook for that matter. But yeah, I've been around for a while, so I have the luxury of having a little bit of a footprint on the internet. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. In this digital age of AI where people just like clone people and stuff like that. I don't know. Might regret that digital footprint, after a while. But it is what it is. What are we talking about today? Here's what I had on my mind. When things aren't working for you, like when you're not motivated, all your motivation is gone and things are not working out for you and your business, what do you do? What do you do when you got no motivation left? You're burned out. Your business isn't making any money or not as much money as you want it to be making. What do you do? Well, I'll tell you three things that always have helped me in situations like that. Because again, I started my business, I started working online in 2011, started Epic Conversions in 2016. But it's been a long road, man, and it's been a long road of ups and downs. It hasn't always been, amazing. Sometimes it's high, sometimes it's low. You got good times, you got bad times, and all manner in between. And all those good times and bad times make you better at what you do. They make you a better businessman or woman, depending on, if you're a man or woman or whatever. Make you a better business person. Put it that way. Adversity strengthens us, right? And I think I don't have to tell you guys that adversity strengthens us. But I want to give you three things on. I wrote these down here. So I want to give you three things to kind of help you when things aren't going your way, when motivation is gone, and you're not making a lot of money with your business, or at least not as much as you'd like to make. So let's get into it. The first thing that I would tell you is to stop respecting that word motivation. Okay. Stop giving it so much power. Motivation has never been a key factor for any kind of success that I've experienced. And the reason why it hasn't been that much of a factor is because it's so fickle. Motivation is fickle. It comes and it goes. It comes and it goes. It wanes in, it wanes. It's like the tide, man. You don't know with motivation how it's not even as consistent as the tide, because if you think about the tide, if you live in a place that has a tide, you pretty much can like measure the tide coming in and coming out. You can't really do that with motivation. It comes and goes inconsistently at will. And you can't conjure it. You can't conjure motivation. I mean, it doesn't work that way. So, I mean, to me, it's not that I won't take advantage of some motivation if it comes upon me, but what I have learned to do is value self-discipline far more than I value motivation. Okay. Um, and self-discipline, the good thing about self-discipline, and this is something that I really have been reminded of over these last 6 months or so, because I've been really working hard to lose weight. And I've really been reminded of this idea that self-discipline is a muscle that you can build, right? Your self-discipline can be strong, and then it can grow weak, but then you can build it back strong again. Okay. So that's the good news. You all have self discipline inside you, and it's far more valuable to you than motivation because it's not so fickle. You know, self discipline is a muscle that you can conjure up, you can draw upon anytime you want. So again, when it comes to like things not working out for you and not having any motivation and feeling burned out, you really got to try to draw on your self-discipline when it comes to your business, okay? And it's a very, very powerful ally, all right? Motivation is not a powerful ally because it's here today and it's gone tomorrow. Um, self-discipline's different, you know, and you can build it. You can build your self-discipline. Um, how do you build your self-discipline? Repeated action taking. Um, just I'll give you an example. Let me give you an example, and then I'll tell you a great book that deals with this idea of self discipline. Um, but an example of this is, you know, like I mentioned that the last 6 months I've been losing weight. All right, well, you know, for years and years and years, I tried to lose weight, and you know, I just wasn't trying hard enough, you know? I wasn't taking it seriously enough. But every time I would try to, like, have another push to lose weight, I would, basically, like, I would need some kinda new thing, like some kinda new program, some kinda new weight loss book, some kinda new exercise plan, something new. It had to be something different that I hadn't tried yet before. It was always like that, you know? And I realized that what I was doing with all these new things was I was trying to, like, conjure up some motivation, and the reason I was using new things to conjure up motivation was because the new thing was gonna be novel. It was a novel thing to me. I hadn't really tried it yet, so in that new thing lies hope, right? And in that hope lies motivation, alright? So, essentially, I was trying to conjure up motivation, and the problem is like I told you guys, motivation is fickle. It comes and then it goes. After, you know, a couple weeks, the new thing's not the new thing anymore. And then you gotta be stuck with the grind. You gotta be stuck with the work because, you know, look, I was 278 pounds. I needed to lose a lot of weight and I'm still trying to lose that weight. I'm down to like 224 now, but I still got a lot to lose. I want to get down to 190. So I'm a little over halfway into my journey here, getting to where I want to get. Um, but like any kind of new exercise program or weight loss thing that I would have had, like that novelty would wear off far long before like I would reach a goal weight that I was trying to reach. Okay. So motivation wasn't going to get me there. Well, it's the same thing for you and your business. Okay. So this idea of your motivation being gone, like, relish in it. Good, good. Your motivations are gone, good, because you don't need motivation. What you need is self-discipline. You need some self-discipline. Um, a really good book to put this in perspective for you is this, book by this guy, Jocko Willink. He was a former Navy SEAL, and he wrote this book called Discipline Equals Freedom. It's an amazing book. And if you have a chance, I would try to listen to the audiobook of that because, you know, Jocko is reading that himself and he just has like a way that he delivers it to where you just know this is the truth. This is not just some guy who's been hired to read an audiobook. This is really him reading it. And you just know, man, it's the truth. You can just tell he believes everything he's saying. So it's a very, very good book, and it's very helpful for kind of understanding these concepts about how important self discipline is. So that's the first thing I would say. Hey, Exis, how you doing? That's the first thing I would say. Self discipline is greater than motivation. So don't focus on motivation. If your motivation is gone, fine, it's gone. Who cares? Focus on self discipline. And self discipline like can help you out so much in your business as you're trying to, you know, go through your processes of running your business, as you're trying to iterate in your business, as you're trying to try new things and analyze things and move things forward. The self discipline required to do that is great. The motivation will go. You're going to start something new, and it's very exciting. But after a little while, it's not going to be exciting anymore. After a little while, you're going to be left with problems. All businesses face problems. Okay, all of them do. You know, I've been running Epic Conversions for 10 years. It'll be 10 years in March of this month. And it's been, like I said before, ups and downs, ups and downs. All businesses face problems. And in those hard times, like motivation is not, it can't be a driver. Like self discipline is a driver. It's a major ally. So I would focus on, elevating your idea of self discipline and like minimizing the impact of motivation. If that makes any sense at all, I hope it does. I hope it helps. So that's one I would tell you right off the bat. By the way, guys, if you enjoy anything that I'm saying, you can subscribe to my email list. I'm at epicconversions.com, EPICconversions.com. Just sign up. I usually email my list three to six times a week, so fairly regularly. So if anything I'm saying resonates with you, you probably belong on my email list. So because I give good information by email as well. So, anyways, what's the second thing that can help you when things aren't working and your motivation is at an all-time low or your motivation is gone? What's the second thing that can help you? All right. The second thing is trust consistent processes over feelings. Okay. Trust consistent processes over feelings. Right. And this really kind of, I mean, if you think about it, and if you think about a lot of the stuff we're talking about here, it has to do with controlling your emotions. It has to do, when we think about self discipline over motivation, what is that? That's controlling yourself. That's controlling your emotions. When you think about consistent processes and trusting your consistent processes over over your feelings, like, oh, I feel like everyone else is doing this, I need to stop doing that and start doing this. No, if that's working for you, keep doing it. Doesn't matter what everybody else is doing. If you're making money doing it, keep doing it. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's like there's all these feelings that happen, and are a lot of them are manufactured. You know what I mean? A lot of it is marketing that's geared right at you. It's designed to grab your attention. On the internet, you have a bunch of professional attention getters. Whether they're marketers or whether they're YouTubers or whether they're bloggers, or whether they're podcasters. What they are is they've made an art form of being professional attention getters. All right. And there's nothing wrong with that. I myself pride myself on being good at getting attention, especially in the email inbox. But you gotta call it what it is. If it's a professional attention getter, what are they going to be good at? They're going to be good at getting your attention, right? Well, how do people get your attention? How do they get you to take action, right? A lot of people feel, and I'm one of those people, a lot of people feel like the way we get people to take action runs through emotion. A lot of people feel like, that people buy based off of emotion and they justify those purchases with logic, right? And I myself believe that. And I don't believe it just because I read it in a book somewhere. Yes, I did read it in a book somewhere, but the reason I believe it is because I've experienced it over the last 15 years. Definitely people buy based off of emotion and they justify those purchases with logic. What that means is that the emotion is more powerful of a persuader. It's more powerful of a driver than any kind of logic that you can put on the sales page. Nothing wrong with putting logic on the sales page. Give them reasons to buy. But what I'm saying is that emotion is a bigger driver. So if I know that, and a lot of other people know that, how do you think that people are trying to get you to take action? Whether that's to read their thing or whether that's to buy something they want to sell, how do you think they're getting you to take action? They're doing it by trying to conjure up your emotions, right? So if you look at it that way, the internet can be a little bit of an emotional place, whether those emotions are excitement, whether those emotions are anger, frustration, rage, boredom. The internet can kind of like run the gambit of like all this emotional spectrum. And a lot of it is, believe it or not, it might not look like it, but a lot of it's manufactured just because people are vying for your attention all the time. So what I'm saying is, if you want to run a successful business and you want your business to actually do something and stick around, you have to learn how to control your feelings. So you want to trust your consistent processes. You can't give in to these ideas of FOMO. Oh, everyone else is using Substack. Well, I better use Substack. Oh, everyone else is doing a school community. I better do a school community. Um, these ideas like pivoting your business just because you feel some kind of way, just because you see other people doing something, or just because that's when everyone else is telling you to do, or that's when everyone else seems like that's the hot hand right now. Well, like that's not a good reason to make decisions with your business. I mean, if you make your decisions really emotionally like that and you let your emotions dictate which way you go, they're going to dictate you right out of business. That's what's going to happen. All right. I'm just telling you, that's the way it is. There's nothing wrong with like trying to ride the hot hand. Okay. If you see that everyone cares about something, you see your market cares about something, there's nothing wrong with saying, my market really cares about this thing. How do I fit into that conversation? How could I fit into that conversation? How does that make sense for me to kind of fit into that conversation? There's nothing wrong with saying that strategically. The problem comes when you start saying that just because you feel like you're missing out on something, or just because you feel like you're falling behind on something. You're being very reactionary, and you're being reactionary based on your feelings. And what I have found is that feelings don't have much place in business. Um, those are hard fought lessons for me. Okay, that's not something I just showed up knowing. We can go back to the beginning of the beginning for me, and I was just like everyone else, very reactionary. You know, you're always worried about like missing out on something. Oh, you're not going to take advantage of an opportunity, blah, 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 blah. There's always a reason to like make some kind of a pivot or make some kind of a jump. And again, this is a nuanced point. Okay. There's nothing wrong with strategically looking at something and deciding, hey, this is the hot hand right now. How do I fit into that conversation? There's nothing wrong with that. But again, it needs to make sense. It needs to be strategic. It cannot be reactionary. If it's reactionary, if you're just basing it off of feelings, you feel like you're going to miss out on something. You don't know how, you don't know why. It doesn't make sense, but you want to be in it. You want to be in it somehow, right? Like I could say the same thing about like school right now. I look at the school platform and I think, oh, wow, school, man. I see a lot of people moving to school. It's kind of the hot hand right now. I want to be there. I want to be there where I want to be where things are happening, right? I want to be where things are happening. And I was thinking about this towards the end of the year, thinking, wow, I'd really like to be where things are really happening, and that's great. That's great to see a hot hand, and that's great to want to be where things are happening. But you have to look at your business and you have to say, wait a minute, let me see if this actually makes sense for my business. Like, does it make sense? When I look at it on paper, how does this make sense? And when I looked at it on paper, like for me personally, school did not fit into the equation for me. First of all, like school is about building community. It's about building a community right there on the school platform. And that is a little bit different than just running a normal membership club. That's a little bit different than just running a paid newsletter. Building a paid community has its own kind of way of doing things. And it's not really something that made sense for me. I didn't really want to do that with the way that I run my business and the way that I want to run my business going into 2026 here. Like, putting a community together and holding like this place where everyone's a part of this community, and it's like a little personal like Facebook group or something. I've ran Facebook groups before. I've ran little community type things before. And it just didn't fit into like how I wanted to do Epic Conversions in 2026. It just didn't fit into it. Um, so for me, it's like strategically that doesn't make sense for what I want to do with my business. I like school. I think it's really cool. I think it's got a lot of nice features and everything. And of course, my feelings tell me that that's what's happening right now. That's the hot hand. I want to be involved in the hot hand, but it just doesn't make sense strategically for me. So again, I tell you, you got to trust your consistent processes over your feelings. Your feelings will lead you astray. All right. So you got to look at the processes you have in place for your business, like how you do certain things, and we talk about trusting consistent processes. Like when I'm going to make changes in Epic Conversions, I look at my current situation the processes I have in place for making big decisions regarding epic conversions, right? Now, you might be kind of just coming up out there. This is a free live stream. Anybody can watch this. You might not have a business right now. You might just be coming up. What I would tell you is you're far better off putting together simple little systems for the things that you do. Like, oh, you want to publish content regularly? What's your system for that? How do you do that? Because if you can systematize things, then what happens is they become a little bit easier to get done regularly and consistently. Um, One way that you can do it, when we talk about just simple systems, and let me give you an example of simple systems. One way we can do it is simple milestones. Okay. And what do I mean by that? I mean, like, let's say you're like, you know what, man, podcasts are the hot hand right now. I want to start a podcast to help grow my business. All right. That's cool. So the first system, like, to me, that you put together is you decide how often you're going to do the podcast. What's the basics, right? How long is the podcast going to be? Is it like a 10-minute show? Is it like a 20-minute podcast? Is it like a solo cast where, like, you're just doing it yourself? Or are you going to have guests on? Is it going to be like a once a week show? It's just simple, basic kind of stuff, right? But a, a much a much more useful system, and one that you probably haven't thought of, is the milestone system, right? And what I mean by the milestone system is, like, in my business, every time I put out free content, right? Whether it's a podcast, whether it's a show like this one, this is the Cam from Epic Conversions podcast, right? Whether it's a video streaming show or a podcast or a series of articles, whatever it is, you're gonna do a weekly article, whatever kind of free content you're putting out there. I I always go by milestones, and what I mean by that is I set a date, or it's not usually a date. I'll be honest with you, it's not usually a date. It's usually an episode, right? And that's the milestone. That's my reevaluation time. And what I usually do is I run it in seasons, right? So, like, if I'm doing a podcast or if I'm doing like a video show or a live stream show like this one, like, I will say, okay, I'm going to do 10 episodes of this. That's going to be season 1. Or, okay, I'm going to do 50 episodes of this. That's going to be season 1. So 50 episodes is my milestone. Once I reach that milestone, pat myself on the back, right? Because I just did 50 episodes of this damn thing. Amazing. That's season 1. All right. Now, what happens is now I take a break. I take like a week off, 2 weeks off. There's a cooling off period between season 1 and season 2. And in that cooling off period, what you do is you evaluate how things went. What went right? What went wrong? What was your goal for this content? Did you achieve that goal, right? Was your goal to, like, get lead acquisition? Okay. Well, you did 50 episodes. How many leads did you acquire over the last 50 episodes, right? Because the thing about it is you can put like a dollar amount on those leads, right? Now, check this out. Let's say I know you're probably out there, you think like, "Oh, well, Cam, I don't pay for leads, okay? I'm not doing paid traffic. I'm not at that point yet." All right? So, like, what you need to understand is, like, there's a time expense to those leads as well. So you say, well, you do free content, you don't do paid content, you don't do paid traffic, you do free traffic. So you're putting free content out there, you're trying to get traffic from it. Okay, cool. So you're not focused on, like, monetary expense now. You're focused on the time expense, right? How much time did you put into those 50 episodes for season 1? How much time did you put into it? Because, like, let's be really really simple here. Let's say you put 100 hours of time into those 50 episodes. 100 hours of time into those 50 episodes of season 1. Okay? So that's a 100-hour time expense that you put into it. Let's say you generated 1,000 leads. All right? So I hate doing math on live streams, but I'll pull the calculator up, and so we generated 1,000 leads and we put 100 hours in. Okay. So we take the 100 and we divide it by 1,000. We see 10 cents. 10 cents a lead, right? 10 cents a lead. So did I do that right? I want to make sure I did that right, It's late in the day, I'm getting tired, and, I hate doing math on live streams. Um, but essentially what I'm it's not 10 cents a lead, right? It's 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 10 cents in time, right? It's we're talking about time investment here. So anyways, it doesn't this is like a weird conversation to have like this. This kind of little like breakdown of time investment and stuff like that. This is a better conversation had like on a whiteboard where you guys can see what I'm talking about. You can see the calculator I'm looking at. Just me sitting here saying this to you, it doesn't the point is, it's measurable is what I'm talking about. Um, and the ultimate point that I'm making right now is that milestones are helpful. Milestones are a simple system that you can implement. Okay. Jill Hart in the house. Hey Jill, how you doing? Jill, she runs the U World Order. So we were just talking about school groups. She has a great school group called the U World Order. They do a weekly mastermind every Monday. Great, great mastermind, and everybody get over there and check her group out. So pretty cool. Yeah, the point is, guys, consistent processes over feelings. Okay, it's easy to get caught up in your feelings, but consistent processes will keep your business sustainable. They will keep you going for longer. And simple system is putting milestones in place, points of evaluation. And you can do that like with your free content. You can do it by breaking it up into seasons. Simply breaking it up into seasons. If you want to do a live stream show like this one, what I'm doing here, um, break it up into seasons. Plan it for like 10 episodes or plan it for 20 episodes. But the point is, after that season one, have a cooling off period, make it a day, make it 2 days, make it a week, whatever. Evaluate what just happened with your free content. Was the juice worth the squeeze? Right? Was the juice worth the squeeze? If the juice is not worth the squeeze, what does it mean? Well, that kind of leads us into the third thing that I wanted to talk to you about today. When things aren't working out for you, when your motivation is gone, what do you do? So what do we got so far? We got self-discipline is greater than motivation, right? Self-discipline matters way more than motivation. Minimize your motivation and how much it matters. It doesn't matter. Self-discipline matters far more than motivation. 2, trust consistent processes over feelings. Your feelings will lead you astray. You gotta trust your process a little bit, right? So what's the third thing? The third thing is iteration and analysis. Iteration and analysis. I used to do these monthly product launches. I did them for years. I ran them through Warrior Plus, and I I would like recruit all these affiliates, hundreds of affiliates to promote my products. And every time I launched one, I would recruit hundreds of affiliates to promote it, right? And what I would do was, and this was a very results, the launch game is a pretty results based business. A lot of businesses are results based, but this one especially when you're launching on Warrior Plus, it's a very competitive network and everyone can see your stats. Everyone can see your stats. The affiliates can see your stats because they're trying to figure out if you're successful or not successful with your product launches, because that's going to determine whether or not they want to promote you in the future. Right. So it's a very competitive, space. So when I did these product launches, I would wow. Jill says, wow, Warrior Plus Warrior. I remember those days. Yeah, yep, that's right. Um so iteration analysis. So when I was doing those product launches every single month, what would happen was when the launch was done, after the final day of launch, I would do something called product launch profile, a product launch profile. And what did I do? I looked at everything that happened during the launch, all the good, all the bad. How many affiliates did I have on this launch? How many affiliates promoted for me? What were the top 10? Did I reach out to the top 10 and thank them for their participation? What was my conversion rate on the sales page? What did it start at on day one? What did it end at on day four? Because I would do like 4-day launches. What was my conversion rate every single day? Where did the majority of the sales come from that I sent? I would track my emails. Okay. Usually on a 4-day launch, I would send about 8 to 10 emails. That's about 2 emails a day, and then a few more on the last day. Usually two, 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 and then like 4. Sometimes it'll be a little more. But the point is, of those 8 to 10 emails, I want to know where the sales came from. What emails did the sales come from? So I would track a lot of those things. And like when I did the product launch profile, I would basically evaluate what went right, what went wrong. I would end with like, man, if I could share my screen, I'd show you guys a couple of these, but it doesn't really matter. The point is, I was looking at the good, the bad, and the ugly. I was deconstructing the whole thing. Why was I doing it? I was doing it so that I could make changes on the next launch because I knew next month I was going to launch another one. And I knew I wanted to do better than this one, if at all possible. I wanted to do better than this one. It's not always possible. Sometimes you flop them. It's not always going to go your way. I mean, that's just the way it is. When I first started doing those product launches, I was under the impression that like it was going to grow, 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 grow. Like I did a $300 product launch. Then I did, I sold I did my first 500 sale product launch, right? Amazing. And then I remember when I hit my first 1,000-unit product launch, right? I sold 1,000 units. And then I remember when I hit my first 2,000-unit product launch. And like when I hit these points, I thought it was going to go up, 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 up. That's not how it works, man. Sometimes it goes up, sometimes it goes down. And there's reasons for that in the product launch game. I won't go into all that here because that'll turn this podcast into like a 3-hour long, dissection of the product launch, game. We're not going to get there. But the point is, the way you get better is by iteration and analysis. Okay. So those product launch profiles, like in that period of time, that was my paid traffic. That was my paid content. Okay. I was talking about milestones and free content. We have milestones and paid content too. You put out something that's paid, and then when you put it out and you got it on the market and it's sailing along, evaluate how the launch went. Okay. That product launch profile, that's your analysis period. And then you iterate for the next thing. What can you do to improve on what you just did? Now, for me, it could have been anything. It could have been anything from slow start due to, lack of conversions on sales page. I mean, look, if you're doing a product launch and you are, running affiliate traffic, you're running referral traffic, guess what? That's warm traffic. Okay. So if your conversion rate's below 10%, you are wasting traffic. Okay. So you got to get the sales page fixed. We could go into all that. It doesn't matter. The point is, whatever you're doing out there, iterate and analyze. It'll iterate, analyze, iterate, analyze, iterate. So those 3 things, right? And I see you guys' questions. I'm going to get that question in a second. But those 3 things, right? When things aren't working out for you in your business and your motivation is gone, the first thing you can do, okay, covet self-discipline, minimize the value of motivation because motivation's not really going to help you very much. It's very fickle. It comes and it goes. The second thing, trust your consistent processes over your feelings. Your feelings will lead you astray. And then the third thing, analysis and iteration. It's always these cycles of analysis and iteration, right? Because it has to be that way because the internet changes, things change. What was working really well in 2018, it's not working for me anymore, right? There was a time where Medium was twice as popular as Substack. Now the tables have turned. Substack's getting more traffic than Medium, right? So things change on the internet. So you're never on easy street. You're never just like kicking back, not worrying about anything. It's always analysis and iteration. It's always making moves. That's been my experience anyway. Jill Hart says, how do you feel about only changing one thing when you're adjusting? Yeah, I think it's good. I think just changing one thing is fine, especially if you have a problem and you're having trouble identifying what that problem is. Like, if I have a problem in my business, right, and I don't know what that problem is. But whatever it is, it's keeping me from making money, right? I think the first thing to do, sit down at this is me. I'm a kitchen table entrepreneur, okay? And what I do is I will sit down at the kitchen table away from my computer and I will take a piece of paper and I will map out on the paper what my business looks like in what they call this in engineering is an exploding diagram. An exploding diagram. You ever see an exploding diagram? It's basically where you take like something like a table or whatever. You guys have probably seen these in like instruction manuals, like when you buy a table or you buy a piece of furniture or something, and you pull out the instruction manual to put it together, and that's an exploding diagram. You see it like all the parts are apart, and you see like where the parts are supposed to go, right? It's kind of like an instruction manual to put the furniture together. That's an exploding diagram. Well, I want to see the exploding diagram of my business. Okay. Here are the parts to my business. First, I get traffic over here. Here's how I'm getting traffic. Boom, boom, boom. Here's where the traffic goes. Then it goes here. Here's my first money point. Here's where there's potential for me to make money. Here's where there's potential for me to make money. And here is potential for me to make high ticket income. Here's my reoccurring right here. And I see it all laid out on paper, exactly how it's supposed to be. And then I'll have like, well, here's what I do for this. Here's my time investment for this right here. Here's my time investment for here. Oh, here's my monetary investment for this right here. And you see it all laid out in this little exploding diagram. And you think, well, here's my problem. Okay. And then you think about what parts of your system could be causing that problem. And then, okay, well, let's handle it one thing at a time. I think usually we'll have a gut, right? Usually we'll have a gut feeling on what might be causing the problem. And that's where you start. And you say, well, I think this is what's causing my problem. So let me do this. Let me swap it out. Maybe it's a traffic source. So you swap out the traffic source. Maybe it's your sales page. And you're thinking, you know what? I think these low conversions on the sales page are caused by my copy, right? And when I go to change sales copy, generally I will focus on the headline first because that's the biggest like influencer of conversion rate on a sales page is that headline. The headline's the king of the sales page. All right. So it runs the sales page, right? So like, and that's the captivation portion of the sales page. That's the stop sign that gets them to read further and to go on. Maybe it's that, or maybe it's like you got conversions in your business and people are joining and stuff, but you're just not making enough money, right? It could be that you don't have a good back end in place. It could be that you don't have high enough prices, right? That was a problem that I had quite a bit after COVID, because when COVID happened, when the pandemic happened, I was doing a lot of, consulting and a lot of coaching one-on-one. And when that happened, when COVID happened, man, I lost a lot of my one-on-one clients. And I didn't mind because I didn't want to do any one-on-ones, man. There was all this crazy stuff happening in the world. Like I would go to my local grocery store and they had like yellow tape, like coming out the door, like police tape. And it was like this weird way to get in. There was someone standing by the door. This is Walmart. Someone standing by the door with a counter counting how many people went into Walmart. Okay. And like you had to have a mask on. And like when you got in there, there was like little footprints on the floor, like little sticker footprints to tell you which way to walk because they only wanted you to walk down the aisles one way. Like the aisles were one way. I mean, it was crazy land. Okay. So it was nuts. There was a lot of weird stuff going on. I remember everything was fine at my local Walmart. Everything was fine. This is where I do a lot of grocery shopping, right? Everything was fine until they canceled the NCAA tournament. They canceled the NCAA tournament that year, and then all hell broke loose, right? I went to the local Walmart after that. All the meat was gone. All the toilet paper was gone. Everything was gone. I had never seen it like that. So when I lost those coaching clients, it didn't bother me because I understood what had happened, right? But then after that, I kind of realized I didn't like doing one-on-one coaching anymore. It was like, it felt like a lot of hand holding. I was like, man, I don't feel like babysitting people, man. That's just kind of where I was, so, but that was my back end, that was a high ticket item in my business that made me a lot of money, quite frankly. So I took a hit when that happened. So if you look at your business overall and you look at something like that and you think, oh, wow, my business only made half as much this year as it made last year. Yeah, no kidding. Because like your back end was accounting for 50% of your revenue, right? And you decided you don't want to do coaching anymore. So of course you made half this year, right? It's something that is easy to identify when you're looking at an exploding diagram of your business and you see where the money's coming from and you see, well, this is what it looked like last year. Well, I made these changes, so now it looks like this year. And it's easy to see on paper, but like when you don't have it on paper and you're just trying to like, you're riding the bull, man. You're just riding the bull and you're making emotional decisions based on what's happening around you. It's all like stick and move. You're trying to like man, you're in the pocket. You know what I mean? It's like you're surfing or something. It's hard. This is my experience, okay? It's hard to get wealthy year after year after year and run a sustainable business year after year after year and not burn yourself out um surfing. It's hard to do that. It's hard to be like a surfer, right? You ever watch surfers? I mean, they wipe out, right? Sometimes they catch a wave and they do amazing, and other times they wipe out, right? It's impossible to just stay in the pocket all the time. I mean, eventually, if you're making decisions off of emotion and you're always just trying to stay in the pocket and ride the wave of whatever's happening, I mean, eventually you're going to wipe out, right? So that's why I think some of the things I'm talking about are important. I know they're boring. They might not be the most sexy ideas and stuff like that. But I mean, I can only tell you what's worked for me, man. I'm not like one of these big fancy gurus. There's plenty of people who made a lot more money than I have online. I can only tell you what's worked for me. Um, Jill says, and you can't get people to do the things they need to do to get results they say they want. This is a genius idea. Totally cracking up over the riding the bull statement. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, it's just, I mean, minimize emotions when it comes to your business. Try not to make decisions based off of feelings. FOMO. Try not to be all FOMO about everything. Some things that people are doing, they're right for them, or maybe they're not right for them. Maybe they're just, out there riding the wave. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily a good idea for their business either, but they're just doing it because they see everybody else doing it. Maybe they don't even have an exploding diagram of their business. Maybe they're not even doing the things they need to be doing. Um, but ultimately, even if it is right for other people, it might not be right for you, man. You need to look at it on paper and see what it looks like and see if it makes sense. There's been a lot of things over the years that I wanted to do that didn't make sense to me on paper, so I just didn't do them. And sometimes I did do them anyway, just because I just went with my gut and I was like, "Hey, this doesn't really make sense, but I want to do it." I'll give you an example of that too. I have a audio newsletter. I call it an audio newsletter. It's basically like a premium podcast. It's a podcast that costs money. It's not on the market right now. It's going to be like, listen, guys. Here's another thing. We'll talk about iteration and analysis. All right. I knew I wanted to do something drastic with Epic Conversions in 2026. Okay, drastic. This is like a way that I wanted to respond to the way the market's going when it comes to AI, when it comes to automation, and the way that people want to go with things. I knew I needed to really change things around a lot with Epic Conversions. It needed to be different than how I had been doing it. And I chose to go infrastructure zero. You ever hear that term inbox zero? Inbox zero? So where people are trying to get their inbox down to nothing, like no emails in their inbox. Infrastructure zero is just me taking my infrastructure down to zero, closing all my membership clubs, taking all my products off the market. I went to infrastructure zero, and I've been infrastructure zero for about a week and a half now. It's actually crazy. I'm going to have another product on the market. It's called Epic Conversions Monthly. And I'm going to have that on the market probably within the week here. It's probably going to be on the market pretty soon. I'm working on the finishing details of getting that up on the market. But I bring it up because voicemail is going to be continued inside Epic Conversions Monthly. It's going to be a part of that club now. So voicemail continues. But the reason I bring it up is because voicemail is a product that didn't make sense on paper. Okay. And the reason why it didn't make sense is because I launched it at $1 a day, and you could either pay like $7 a week or you could pay $28 a month, one or the other. Right. And, like, I had planned to have a 1-year milestone for voicemail, and that's what I did. I ran it for a year, and then at the year, I was gonna evaluate whether I wanted to keep doing another year of it or just shut it down. Well, when I hit the 1-year mark on voicemail, it was like it was it was doing okay. Like, it was doing enough to justify doing it another year, but the episodes or the issues of voicemail, they took me about 5 hours each to get done. Um, and it was just the juice wasn't worth the squeeze, okay? It wasn't performing at a level to where the juice was worth the squeeze with that audio newsletter. So I was like, "Dude, this is I really just need to shut this down. It's not resonating with people the way I want it to." But my gut, like, even though, like, my numbers were done with voicemail, like, the numbers were telling me, "It's over, dude. Let this one go." I didn't wanna let it go, right? I didn't wanna let it go. I really liked voicemail. So I wanted to find a way to keep voicemail going, and I did. I'm bundling it with Epic Conversions Monthly, and it's gonna be like a perk for being in that membership club. Um, and that's a situation where my gut overrides my numbers. Um, why? Why would I do that if it doesn't make sense? I just spent the last half an hour or whatever telling you guys, "Don't trust your feelings, trust your processes." Yes, that's true. For the most part, don't trust your feelings, trust your processes. But, um, there's something else to this, right? This idea that, like, in my like, this is something that, like, it's taken me a while to come to terms with this, but, like, the older I get, the more I realize a lot of things don't excite me. A lot of things aren't interesting to me. It's like the older I get, the more I've seen. And you start to get to this place where you feel like you've seen everything, you've done everything. It's like, whatever, especially like within your niche, within your realm of expertise. I've been doing like online marketing and business for since 2011. I've been working on this. So it's been a while, and you start to feel like, yeah, nothing new under the sun, whatever, you know? And it starts to become just kind of business as usual. So, and I don't think this is just in business, but I think it's in life in general. Um, the older you get, maybe the less excites you. So what I started to realize was when things do excite you, when something does excite you, when something really, really interests you, like that's an intangible that is priceless. Like, what is the value on something exciting you or being exciting to you or being interesting to you when you hardly ever get interested in anything? What's the value of that? To me, the value is great, right? It's like this priceless thing. If you're really, really interested in something and you never get interested in anything, if you're really, really excited about something and nothing ever excites you anymore, well, then the value of that thing is great. And I don't think that you should be so quick to just like eliminate it just because the numbers don't quite look right. In that kind of a situation, I think it's like one of those deals where, okay, the numbers don't look right on this. What can I do to keep doing the thing that I like, and get the numbers to look right? Okay. And the reason why I look at it that way is because you're far more likely to make the numbers work if you are excited about something, if you have passion for something, if you are really, really into something, especially if you hardly ever get interested in anything. You're getting older and like things just don't excite you like they used to. Nothing new under the sun. But now you found this one thing that you're really, really into. Usually, if you see the numbers are a problem, you'll be a lot more motivated to try to figure out a way to keep the thing you like alive. Right. And that's how it was for me with voicemail. And the way that I did it was I found a way to package it up with another club. It's going to be more expensive than voicemail, but voicemail gets to live on. And I want it to live on. I just feel like in my heart, like I have more to say with voicemail. That club has more to offer. So there it is. Right. So again, I don't know. I feel like some of the things I'm talking about are a little I don't know what high level, like maybe not like newbie friendly or something. Um, I don't know. I don't know. Jill says boring systems are the thing that almost every successful business uses as a foundation. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like the idea is like sustainability, right? It's like I don't just want to make a bunch of money this month. I want to make a bunch of money this month, but I need like for me to quit my job and for me to just do this for a living, man, I need this to replace my getting paid every 2 weeks, right? And that's like reliability. My paycheck comes in every 2 weeks. So what can I do to replace that? So you start thinking about sustainability in your business, right? And that's where you start looking at like, okay, well, I got these front end products and I got these back end products and I got these mid tier products and I got like this continuity program, which like that provides this monthly income that's very similar to like having a job. And that's why I always tell people, install your membership club as soon as you can because like that is the financial foundation and that's the thing that provides the security um that kind of takes the place of your job. It gives you more confidence to quit your job and get be done with your job. Um, so yeah, that's what I'd say about that. But anyways, look, man, that's what I'm talking about. When things aren't working out for you, you're not making as much money as you want to make, and your motivation is gone and all that good stuff. Consider some of these ideas I'm talking about. They'll probably help you quite a bit. Um, yeah, that's what I'd say. If you like this, be sure to, subscribe. You can subscribe to me here on Substack if you want. You can sign up for my main email list at epicconversions.com. Again, that's EPICCONVERSIONS.com. And yeah, if you're on my live stream here, thanks for hanging out. Don't worry. Just go ahead and drop whatever you're promoting. If you got something that you want to promote, just explain it in my comment section and drop a link to it, man. And maybe someone will check it out, man. That's my thanks for hanging out with me on this live stream, man. Hang out with me on my live stream and you've earned the right to, promote your thing in the comment section. So promote at will. If I can help you, I will help you. That's all I got. I'll see you guys. See you guys in the next one. Peace, everybody.